My name is Rune Ulbak. I've been in the private equity industry for plus 20 years. Worked at two kind of larger pension funds, private equity teams. First ATP Private Equity Partners, and then since 2018 IIP Denmark. And think about IIP Denmark as the kind of private equity arm of the pension fund PKA, which represents all the nurses, the chiropractors, the medical secretaries. It's actually a very unique beneficiary group because 90% of the beneficiaries are female. So we have a really strong branding when we go out and talk to different VC funds. One of the things that's unique about us as a pension fund is that we actually have a dedicated mandate to do venture, set up back in 2019. And today we deploy roughly 100 million annually into venture, which is a tenth probably of the size that we deploy into buyout, but it's still meaningful and something that we believe highly can outperform the kind of buyout results. We have a slogan internally that the venture team needs to make the buyout guys ashamed of their results. So that's what we're trying to aim for.
Great. How's that going so far?
Well, so far, because of the J curve, from 2019 you got 21, and we looked really great. We had like a 40% IRR in 21, and then now we're below the J curve still. And I think it's very, very early stage focused, the portfolio. So I think over time we'll see some great outlaws come out of that, and then the power laws you spoke to also this morning will probably be something we'll have driving our results as well. But not a lot of visibility at the moment. And this was something actually back in 2019 we were pretty open about with the pension fund and prepared them that DPI does not come in year 5. You have to look for year 10 instead.
Or even longer.
Even longer sometimes.
Do you actually have a horizon for that, like that you or you are you're more patient than 10 years? Or?
No, so we do have a fund structure set up because we have actually our own team investing our money alongside this program as well. So there is an incentive plan, and there's also a 3-year investment period and then a 10 to 12 years holding period after that. But we can extend that to match the firm's life cycle of that. So we'll figure out when it gets there on that trouble. But I think you're completely right. We don't know. Everything shows me that there are companies before going public is taking longer and longer time. So we'll have to be very patient.
So you started 5 years-ish ago. How was it to get started? Because you're kind of and ahead of the curve, I would say, versus the rest of Europe. So you're kind of discovering a lot of things by yourself, I guess. How was that?
Yeah, I think many of the pension worlds have dedicated team that does buyout investments today, and I think we just started out being very humbled. We actually did some strategic partnerships with 2 fund of funds to help us kind of accelerate our learning curve. That had turned out really great. We were able to build knowledge within the team. We were able to get access. We were able to kind of leverage those teams on kind of monthly meetings. And within the first couple of years, we were up doing our own commitments and then scaling it from there to that. When we got to our second program in year 3, we really didn't need the fund of funds anymore. And being humble and honest about that was the journey we were on. Those fund of funds were just happy to help and had done that with other LPs as well. So they knew that there was a time that would come where we would probably not be an investor with them anymore. But it was a great way of kind of not making any rookie mistakes or getting into the wrong hands at the wrong time.
Super interesting. I don't know if you can say something about ticket sizes, because I guess that has also shifted between fund to fund and going direct.
Yeah, so to get the program off the table and really get some money in the ground, we were really aggressive with the fund of funds tickets to start with. So those were probably in the $30 million, kind of like a 10% ticket of the fund construction that we're making. But nowadays we are kind of ranging from 5 to 25 million. Definitely the sweet spot is in that 10 to 20 million. The aim is to build a portfolio of 25 roughly managers commitments, so that we have an underlying portfolio of 800 companies that we can kind of make sure we'll probably have a good chance of hitting the power law numbers of having enough shots at goal and making sure you really lift the bar all the time about who are you getting access to, who are the managers out there that you really want to get into, and spend your resources knocking on those doors instead of just taking another meeting with starting emerging managers. So we've been focusing on that and have been able to open some doors that we're pretty proud of. That it's kind of the flywheel effect. And also I think I talked about the benefit of having nurses as your beneficiaries is something that really matters in venture and can open door for use in different ways.
350,000. Well, not only
female nurses, but that's a good story. Right?
Wow. And how do you think about kind of geography? Do you like looking at kind of home bias versus being global?
Yeah, sure. I think the US is the biggest market for sure. That's where we are overcommitting to. I don't think we're overcommitting in a sense that we're not doing Europe, because we're actually doing 30% roughly in Europe. So we've always been pretty interested in the European market. I think we had easier to get going in Europe because we knew a little bit more about the players. It was a smaller market, so it was much easier to map it out. So we actually accelerated quicker in Europe than we did in the States. Okay. And also I think everyone knew who the best guys were in the state, and they were much tougher to open the doors to. So that was a problematic that we had to solve for in the first vintages, but we've now overcome that too, I feel.
Okay.
But it takes time, and it takes resources and boots on the ground to really knock on the doors enough time to build those relationships where the top quartile funds believe that you are the right LP for them as well. In their
how does that actually work? What makes them? What are the dynamics? What makes them think you are the right investor?
A lot of the first ones we talked with was like, we'll talk to you and we see what else you put in your portfolio, right? So we're kind of like, okay, well then we'll show them. We'll have to just build some really good names and then getting access. Sometimes warm introductions. We got a lot of warm introductions from those two fund of funds. That helped open the doors a lot. And when you then come in with a honest and open mind and really start building those relationships, and we've been in San Francisco twice, fourth time a year, so always trying to knock on their door when the ones that was highly prioritized, just makes a difference. You can build those access points then. And then sometimes you have to start out small and then grow from there. But you got to be aware of how you do it. For us, it's always been a focus on early stage. So we've not accepted just getting into the growth vehicles.
That's interesting. Why? What was the thinking there?
Well, think about 2019 when we started out. Capital was flushing into that late stage market. Tiger was doing a deal a day almost, right? So it was different at that time. And we were pretty aware that probably if any market or any segment of the market was overflowing, it was probably that late stage market. So really focused our intention on getting early stage. And I think nowadays also the A rounds are much more competitive and much more brand driven in terms of the VCs that succeed there. So if you go a little bit earlier, you can actually also win before Sequoia of the world comes and pick up the most interesting companies. And if you don't have access to those to start with, that's a place to go early and get some good exposure that can also be really attractive in terms of hitting those companies that are going to actually end up being the power law.
Okay. So in Europe, you're really, like I said, like ahead of the curve. Although there are some, I think it is starting to move also in other parts of Europe. Have other pension fund managers come to you and ask for advice? Is there a lot of knowledge spreading happening?
I would say in Denmark, it's a tight-knit group that really does venture. I think we're probably 2 or 3 pension funds that really does it in a kind of more systematic way. And there haven't been a much sparring between those different houses. I would say each.
Not even within Denmark.
Not even within Denmark, right? So it's not something that we find very often. We're very open to it. I think we are used to speaking and taking reference calls with the LPs and different firms all the time on the buyout side and the venture side. So we would be happy to help people and tell about how we get started and what success and misses we've had along the way. But it's not a big thing right now for me, at least. I'm not spending much time on that.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe that can change.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe last question. How do you pick the right investor? Like what do you look for in an investor?
So in a venture fund, you think? Yeah. I think we have 6 lenses we always look through, and those 6 lenses help us guide our views and also help us turn over every stone so that we don't miss anything in the process of kind of selecting them. But I think what comes before that is really the relationship building, and then once you get access to the data in the data room, you can flip all the tiles over and see if there's anything that pops up. But in generally what we like to see is an edge there's got to be something that you can clarify as being the reason to win for this fund. And oftentimes it comes with either people or processes or knowledge or information or access to something. So one of these things, the domain expertise, whatever it could be, there has to be something unique that sets this fund apart from the rest. And then often it's backed up by a long track record of having successfully delivered strong returns. And for us, a strong return is a plus 3x net fund.
Are there like a lot of dinners and or is it really just a pitch? Or
yeah, I think it's more coffee meetings than it's dinners. I think we tend to knock on their door and tell them we're in town and can we come by and get an update, and then we have all these coffee meetings, and over time you build much more knowledge about how they're progressing and how they've been successful in the past, and then when are you back in fundraising mode and can we make a good fit, and then you suddenly start to feel the fit is there, and you move towards that next phase of really getting access.
Okay. Is there anything you've seen that kind of has been changing in Europe for the better, or?
Well, there's been a lot of debate about did Europe have enough unicorns? Did Europe have enough team that spun out qualified kind of entrepreneurs that could kind of be the next ones to find the next Spotify and so on? I think that has changed a lot. Just in those 5-6 years that we've been doing it, there's been so many successes, and there have been so many people coming out with a view of what good look like, and that is very helpful for the ecosystem. I think there are certain hubs that have these talent people, but there's also the cities around them that now seem to be more spread out, where you can find people that really have seen what good looks like. And I think that mentality of how fast a venture firm really got to grow is something that you can't really imagine until you've been in it or seen it and understand how crazy those operating times when you scale from nothing to 200 million top line is.
No, amazing. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, and let's keep in touch.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks.
Good
to speak.